Thank you for listening to Pal Block Podcast, the flagship Nintendo podcast of Boss Rush Network. Do you need even more gaming and entertainment in your life? Head over to bossrush.net where you can find news, reviews, creators, podcasts, and more focused around the content you enjoy.
Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Expansion Pass. I'm your host, the enlightened, excited Eddie V. Joining me is the boss man himself, Mr. Corey Derrick.
Don't mind Ed, he's just waking up from a nice nap at 10:30 at night.
Yes, I had a great nap.
Good for you, Ed. Some of us can't even sleep when we're supposed to.
Well, dude, with the news that we got this week, who could?
Right.
I mean, so everybody, earlier we did like predicting what the fall would look like for Nintendo.
Yeah, all these episodes are just out of date as soon as we post them, apparently.
Right. Because Nintendo decides to throw a complete wrench in all of our plans, and it's just like, now what? Yes. So, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has got pushed to July 31st with a special edition collector's item coming through My Nintendo later on. We are waiting to see when it's going to be available and how they're going to do it. That's going to be interesting to see when that happens. But it was planning on coming out in September, but now that it's coming out about 2 months early. We was just wondering, what is Nintendo's fall lineup going to look like now? And before we get to the fall lineup, we have to address Xenoblade Chronicles 3. But go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was literally announced that literally probably 12 hours after we recorded the episode this past week. If you're on Patreon, right? Which, by the way, we got to read our Patreon producers in a second. But Xenoblade Chronicles 3 got a release date, and they originally said September. Well, they moved it up to the end of July. So now that kind of throws a wrench in, like with Zelda moving to next year and Xenoblade kind of doing whatever Xenoblade does. It's like, what is happening this fall, right? I mean, there's still a bunch of heavy hitters this fall, which we'll get to, right? Like Splatoon 3, Mario plus Rabbids, Bayonetta 3 supposedly, Advance Wars, that kind of stuff is still coming. But it's like what are the Pokemon is the other big game I just totally just forgot. But if Pokemon's in November, what are the October and September game? What does the lineup look like? And we know Nintendo's not afraid to put 2 games out in October, right? We saw Fire Emblem Warriors and Mario Odyssey come out in October. They've put multiple games out in October before, and it's been very successful for them. But with Xenoblade moving to July, we have August, September, and October open for Nintendo, and we still have a bunch of heavy hitters, plus whatever they were going to announce at E3, which Ed and I presume that they're still going to have some sort of direct in that end of May, beginning of June area where E3 would have fell, right? And then Treehouse stuff probably on campus now instead of at E3 on the show floor or whatever, right? So
yes,
there's a lot to consider right now. It's very up in the air, and Nintendo's very strategic. They will move stuff around. They'll shuffle things around. The other big rumor is the Metroid Prime remake that we don't really know what's happening with, right? That's not officially announced, but kind of heavily rumored, to fill that gap.
Yeah.
So I think there might be another Mario game coming, to be honest with you. We talked about it on the phone earlier. I think at E3 they're going to announce the Fire Emblem game that Emily Rogers has been reporting on, and a Mario game because it's been 5 years, and they said their next Mario game might be similar to what Bowser's Fury was, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it is that, and Bowser's Fury was just like a little chunk of that, maybe Mario's a little ways off. But like, we didn't get a Mario game this year yet, and there's been a Mario game, whether it's a re-release or a remaster or obviously Odyssey, every year until this year, right? So
Yeah.
what do we do? You know,
It's really interesting because we was Eric, we was talking earlier. But before we get into that, Corey, you got our Patreon shout out?
Yeah. Let's do our Patreon producers real quick. Remember, if you subscribe at the $1 level, you get Expansion Pass 1 week early, as well as the Boss Rush podcast 1 week early, and you also get 2-week early access to Standard Def and After Dark. But if you subscribe at the $5 level, you become a Patreon producer, which allows us to recognize you on the show. We shout your name out in a nice, friendly fashion here on Boss Rush and Expansion Pass and Pow Block. So, our Patreon producers for this episode are Quentin Jackson, Rebecca Jewell, Adriel Munger, and my wife, Sana Dierig. So thank you to our $5 patrons. Remember, you can go to patreon.com/Boss Network to sign up for Patreon, or you can get all of our shows for free on your podcast service of choice.
Yes. So, Corey.
Ed.
By
the way, before we get into that, so you know how I've been trying to eat better.
Yes.
I have found a drink to like fill the void, even though it's terrible for you. I'm trying to stay away from like energy drinks, even though I just had one for Tower Casuals because I recorded before this. But this double shot energy white chocolate is very delicious.
Oh, yes.
It's got a lot of sugar in it, though, that I had no idea that it had that much sugar in it, so I should probably not drink this anymore, but it's still delicious.
I would say this. I drink it when I get it at work. I get the donuts, the mini chocolate frosted donuts from the Hosties. I get those to go with it. They're like my morning kind of breakfast when I'm like in need of a rush.
Yeah. It's
yes.
By the way, Ed, also before we get into our big topic of the show, very sad that Shredder's Revenge, it's getting a physical copy, but it's only through limited run.
I know.
I'm so upset. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, So the thing is limited run still has their contract with Best Buy to do limited run through Best Buy, except that they're different covers at Best Buy, but that's still like, I'm not a collector like I used to be. So like getting one from Best Buy with a different cover is fine with me. But like, I really thought this was gonna get a real physical copy, and I'm kind of devastated that it's not, because the Cowabunga collection is getting their physical copy, right?
Yes.
So,
but this is the thing about it. Even though it's .mu, who also did Streets of Rage 4, that was the same thing that happened. That limited run, had the physical editions for that game, and I think it's because of .mu doing the development, and it's kind of hard to see who's publishing, like who's actually publishing it and everything. I think they have a deal with Limited Run that if they do a game, they get first dibs on their physical, regardless of what, because it's weird that Limited Run would do Streets of Rage 4, and it's a Sega game. I'm like, Sega has enough money to get this published as physical. Why are you going to do Limited Run to get it done? Like, it literally is so weird.
It's just weird because it's Ninja Turtles, right? And like, that's such, I mean, it's not the IP that it wasn't obviously in the 90s, right? But like, it's still an important IP, and I still think it's something that people would go to the store and buy, right?
Yes.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, because I I am gonna get it digitally. Um, I don't know when the physical pre-orders go live for it yet.
Well, I think the link is up on Limited Run.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't think it's up for pre-order. I just think the store page is there. So
Okay. Yeah, because this is the thing that's literally going to suck, and everybody's been complaining about it. Is that it's great that it's getting a physical. It's great that Limited Run is doing it, but it's gonna be way past the game. It's like it's going to take half a year for everybody to get their physical version of it, and it sucks royally because I don't know. It's not like you could just order the game and get it a few days later or anything. It's going to take almost 6 to 9 months. So people who do order it, we probably won't get physicals until literally the end of the year or actually next year. I literally just got my Icon Fail from Limited Run, and I ordered that game like last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're gonna do. I hope it gets better. Like I think I'm gonna still order it for the physical. I'm still gonna buy the digital. I'm still gonna do that, but I am gonna order it because man, it's sad for me to say this, but I think I'm more interested in the Turtles collection from Konami and Nickelodeon than I am for Shredder's Revenge. You know, and I think it's because Konami and Nick, they have the money to put out those physical versions, and people know where they're gonna buy it at. You know, people are gonna probably double dip to get it. I don't know what the secondary system is gonna be for people, but I know Switch is gonna be the main one that's gonna be the moneymaker for them. I know they're definitely counting on Switch for that.
Yeah. Oh, man, June and July are super packed. I mean, if you're talking about Turtles and like they just announced Klonoa is coming in July, right? Like it's just and Xenoblade and Mario Strikers and Fire Emblem and 2 Turtles games and the Sonic Origins collection, which I'm pretty excited about also, right, is coming in June. So, man, good. It's a busy time for me, I guess.
Well, it was the thing everybody was planning on. This kind of goes into our discussion of what is Nintendo's fall going to look like. We knew that, first of all, it was going to be a strong summer. Definitely with how Square Enix is planning their games out with Live Alive, and we got the Chrono Cross release already, and some of the other games that's coming out that they're planning on, Front Mission and stuff. We knew that the summer literally belonged to Square Enix, and the game plan for a lot of people was that it was going to be, okay, I'm going to get ready for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 by playing 1 or 2 this summer. That was everybody's plan. Now everybody's just wondering, okay, now I need to start the game because of the news that's changing with it. So with Xenoblade 3 coming out, where does it go from there? Because now we got like I think Sea of Solitude is supposed to be coming. Elysium Chronicles, I think that's it. That one game that's like the spiritual successor to Suikoden. This side game is coming out for Switch this summer, and it's just like, we already got like you said, got a packed summer. But what the heck is this fall going to look like?
Yeah, I have no idea. Like anything after July is like open book except for Pokemon, right? I mean,
right.
I'm trying to look. So Game Informer does a really kind of nice list of what's coming out right soon. And I really, every time I'm looking for a game, I go to their list, and like there are no Switch games after July. None listed, unless it's like a third party kind of thing that's coming to everything else. Like 2 Point Campus is coming, right? I mean,
yes.
Okay. Ooh. Let's see. Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero. Ooh, okay, another JRPG to suck up your time. But I mean, there's really nothing coming to Switch, after that. But we know that there are games confirmed for this year, right? We know.
Yes.
Man, I don't have that list pulled up. We know. Let's see the games we know: Splatoon 3, Bayonetta 3, Mario Rabbids, Pokemon. What else do we know?
Advance Wars.
Advance Wars. That's the other one. Right? That's 6 games that we know. 6 first-party games. 7 if you count 2 versions of Pokemon. Right?
Yeah.
Like 7 games that we know are coming after July. And
that's huge.
It is huge, but like besides Pokemon, there's not like that big fall game. Like, what's the big fall game? That's what we're gonna kind of try to figure out, right? That rumored Fire Emblem is coming. We talked about it a couple weeks ago on this show, and we kind of went off into that pirate tangent because that's the Fire Emblem I want, is the pirate themed one, but we're not gonna get it because that's just how the world works. There's that rumored Metroid Prime 1 remake, which I would actually just prefer the trilogy remastered, but like,
yes,
there's the remake of Metroid Prime rumored, and then there's also the possibility of a Mario game because we haven't gotten one this year. I mean, they're not going to count Mario Strikers as one. I don't think they're going to count Mario Rabbids as one.
They're not going to count the Mario DLC for Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, I mean that's whatever, but I mean, yeah, that's the other thing. They got to position a couple waves of Mario Kart 8 DLC, which I think they're going to position one right around Black Friday because that Mario Kart Black Friday deal is coming back again.
Oh, yeah.
Because they just, for some reason, they need to have that bundle every year, which is fine. Like Mario Kart, if you don't have a Switch, Mario Kart's a great game to have, right?
Yeah.
But like, you can't just like throw something else in there. Gosh.
And when we speak about Mario, everybody, just to make sure, we're talking about a platformer.
Yeah, like
Mario.
Either like what would be awesome would be a Super Mario 3D World 2, but I think it's going to be the successor to Odyssey, whether it's Odyssey 2, whether like from what people are saying around the industry, it's going to be that Bowser's Fury type open world Mario game, which I've heard mixed things on Bowser's Fury. I am going to start playing it because I actually forgot that it's part of Super Mario 3D World.
Yes.
Because I'm like ready to move on to the next game and I forgot. But so I think I'm going to give it a try. But like, I think there's a Mario game coming this year.
If I would say this, if we don't get a Mario game this year, I think it's probably because of Mario Strikers.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's because of Mario Strikers. I think it'd be because of Mario Rabbids out of the two. But I mean, like, I think we have a lot of Mario this year, technically, right?
Yes.
So I just don't know what would be the game that fits that spot.
Right, because I know. For me, I've been saying, okay, it maybe Advance Wars would take it, because due to the fact of the situation that's going in Ukraine, they moved it out. So I'm thinking, like April, May, June, July, August, September. That's 5 months. But they didn't. I think they announced it in March that the game got delayed or something.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out in April. So for all intents and purposes, it's done. They just need to put it out, which makes me think it's coming sooner than later. Because to be fair, this, I mean, to be honest, this war doesn't seem like it's going to stop anytime soon, which is sad in its own right. And we kind of already talked about it on this show a couple weeks ago too. But I think Advance Wars comes out sooner than later. I think it's going to come out in July, to be honest with you.
What I know, when we was on the phone talking, we said if they did it in May, that seems reasonable, like kind of understandable.
Yeah.
Now thinking because
Oh
they
yeah, because
delayed
May doesn't have a game yet.
made exactly. And now with just I said of thinking about it with it being in September, because it got delayed in March, that would make it 6 months if they dropped it in September. So
Uh-huh.
I would think that's enough time that Way Forward would go in and tweak some things,
Yeah.
get some things ready to do. Because I said when they mentioned that delay that they was holding off for putting it out, they
Mhm.
was putting in they're putting some quality work into this. Nintendo's not just gonna hold on to a game like that from Way Forward or from any developer and not put no work into it. They're
I
gonna be
mean,
like, okay,
I think that's fair, but I think for all intents and purposes, the game is done, and they'll put it out when
yeah,
they put it out. I think the
yes,
end of May would be great, except they should have announced it by now, and they need to start shipping those units to stores, right? I mean,
hmm
that's the issue right now. Is like if you're gonna put it out in May, you need to start shipping it to stores. What, like yesterday?
right, because Nintendo Sports is like by the time you guys see this, it's the following week. It's like that is the game for the weekend when that game comes out.
Hmm.
On the 29th. So that's Nintendo's April game right now. You know, it was supposed so with the way that it was for December, it was supposed to be Big Brain Academy and Advance Wars.
Yeah.
And Big Brain Academy became the game, but that came and went. Like I don't even. It's hard to even find copies of that game in stores.
Yeah. I mean, and also like outside of the first party games, like here's the thing, and like as much as I want Fire Emblem to come out in the fall,
Yes.
I don't think it's going to, just because first party wise, you have Advance Wars and Mario Rabbids coming out this year, plus you have Metal Slug Tactics coming out. You have that Marvel Midnight Suns game, which I think a lot of people have forgotten about. That's also kind of a tactics game. So there's 4 tactics games right there, and plus you put out Triangle Strategy earlier this year with Square Enix, right? Like that's 5 strategy games. I don't think you're going to want to flood it with a 6th, which kind of
Right.
sucks because I really want really want that, but it's doesn't I. But also, Fire Emblem would be a good 1-2 punch to put out with Zelda next year. Like, say Zelda comes out in March of next year, you put Fire Emblem out in February. Like, that's a great beginning of the year,
Oh yeah.
So,
Because you still have time. I think it would be good that hey, put a game out in January that support something. February do Fire Emblem, and March do Zelda. I think people would be like, okay, that's good. Because and this is kind of a side tangent. I'm sorry, everybody. Cory Barlog from Santa Monica, they were just like, we don't have nothing ready to show you for God of War, Ragnarok. So
that's such a waste of time, though. Like, why do you make a video to say that something isn't ready to show, right? Like, I get that Zelda, obviously, like, yeah, it already had a release date of holiday 2022, right? If it's getting delayed out of the year, then you make that announcement. But they said they had nothing to show. It wasn't delayed. It's on track for this year. Like, that's a tweet. That's a blog post. Why do you need to like make a video to say, "Oh, we have nothing to show"? Then don't show it. Just don't say anything. It's not like God of War is some like single A like second party whatever, right? Like, it's God of War, so
well, I think everybody was expecting that game to be Sony's big fall or winter big holiday game for this year.
It's gonna be, though. It's still on par. It's still on track. So I don't understand.
Well, I think with people wondering what is Sony's next big game going to be, because Gran Turismo 7 is already out and it's having its whole situation dealing with what it's dealing with. Microsoft at this time. We're still kind of like trying to see what they're planning to do, but we know Starfield is their the way that Starfield is being kind of marketed or and
Yeah,
kind of being led on.
that's
That's
their fault.
Microsoft's. Oh, go ahead.
I was saying that's their fall game. I mean,
Yeah.
Microsoft, whatever else Microsoft puts out, they might as well not put out anything because that's their fall game. That's the game
Well,
everybody's looking forward to.
yeah. It to me, I think Starfield and Redfall are the big games for Microsoft. So Microsoft is somewhat covered, but if Nintendo is got a pack summer, and they may have a pack fall and winter, it's everybody's gonna be looking at Nintendo to be like, what do you have planned for the system that we don't know? Because that's if not Microsoft, if Sony is going to be missing out on some money, I don't know. Just making an assumption. Nintendo got a lot of chances to really sell more systems, more accessories, get a lot of their present and past games out there along with these new games. They have a chance to really make a lot of money for the rest of the year. And
I mean,
these, and
my,
oh, go ahead.
I mean, Nintendo's lineup is packed, is full for sure, right? Because like, not just the first party games, but there's a ton of third party games, and like the biggest third party game, shockingly to me, is Hogwarts Legacy is coming to Switch.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge like third party game that you can theoretically take with you. Now, will that come out this year on Switch alongside the other ones? I sincerely hope so. But you know how third party games are with Switch. Sometimes they just take their time and come out whenever they feel like
it's that we'll just hold on for development and we'll work on the other two, and then 6 months down the road we'll decide to do the Switch version.
I am actually shocked that they announced that for Switch. Like shocked, because that game looks super ambitious, super big, and I mean we saw the state of play running on PlayStation 5, I think, and it looked like, how is this going to run on the Switch? I'm like, how is this going to run on PS4 and Xbox One? First of all, but I think they said that Saber is working with WB on that, because that's kind of WB's go-to, right? Because they, I think, I know The Witcher is CD Projekt, but Warner Brothers is their distributor here, and so I just kind of figured that they would go with Saber, although there's a lot of bad things going on with Saber because they're technically a Russian company. And so a lot of people are cutting off their contracts, right? We just saw CD Projekt cut their contract with them for the Series X and PS5 versions of The Witcher. Even though, like, they moved their headquarters to Florida now.
Yeah.
They're technically a Russian company, and people are trying to distance themselves from Saber, which is like, that's a whole different conversation, right? But
yes,
that's kind of like, that kind of sucks, you know? I mean, they're just people trying to run a business. It's not like, I mean, they might be pro Putin, but I doubt it, right? I mean, not a lot of Russian people are, they're struggling to survive just like the rest of the world. I feel bad for people who are not, for the war. Right, and it's just a big mess. But that's a topic for another day, maybe an After Dark, maybe something. But Saber is a great porting studio, and I wouldn't be shocked if they were the ones working on Hogwarts Legacy. But
I would have them do it if WB don't not have the developers who know how to make a game on Switch, and Saber is free to do it, and that they do fantastic work. Give them some money and let them do it, regardless of what is going on in their country. They move so they could distance themselves, so they could run their business. They know how to make port games, and they do a great job of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any other third-party games coming to Switch besides like some indies or smaller games, right? I mean, there's a couple Star Wars games coming from Aspire.
Is it the Sea of Solitude?
Sea of Stars, you mean?
Sea of Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep saying Sea of Solitude.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, Sea of Stars is supposed to come out this year. It's only
Yeah,
listed for PC right now, though, so I don't know if it's. I mean, it's getting a Switch port. It was in the.
port
It was in
the
the.
Indie Direct.
Yeah. Shovel Knight Dig is also supposed to come out this year, apparently. Which I feel really bad for Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. Did you see that news?
No, what happened?
Where I mean, we all know how well Shovel Knight sold. It sold like
Yeah.
6 million units over the course of its 5-year run.
Uh
Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon only sold 34,000 copies.
huh.
34,000, not that's. I mean, granted, it's not as good. It's nowhere near as good as Shovel Knight, and I actually like stopped playing it because I kind of wasn't enjoying it. But like, I'm still shocked that something with Shovel Knight in the name didn't sell more than 34,000 copies.
I think it's just not a lot of people's type of game, and I think more people are just like, okay, we understand you guys are capitalizing off of Shovel Knight, but we want a sequel. You know, they probably feel like it's been too long, and now it's time for us to get a sequel to this game.
Yeah. No Man's Sky is kind of the other big one that's coming to Switch this year. Sorry, I'm just kind of looking here. Metal Slug Tactics, Marvel's Midnight Sun.
I will say this: it's really hurtful that Nintendo lost Bethesda support because of Microsoft's purchase of ZeniMax. Because I
yeah, but you don't think they'll still support the Switch? Microsoft seems pretty open about certain things.
So this is what I was thinking of. The Dishonored games of Dishonored 1 and 2 came out to Switch for this fall. Even as a 2-pack, even if they did it as a 2-pack for like $40 or $50, just and they don't even have to do a physical. They could literally just do an eShop thing. If Microsoft was able to let that happen on Switch for this fall, I think more people would buy that game and play it on Switch. I think more people would support it because as good as Dishonored 2 was, it came and went like nobody. Like
I mean that's why they did Deathloop, and that's why they're doing Redfall, right? Is because nobody bought Dishonored, and I mean I didn't buy Dishonored. I don't care for immersive sim stealth games, but like I mean,
but I think when Doom and Doom Eternal came to Switch, or that's just Doom and Skyrim, just Bethesda games coming to Switch, and they seeing more of the support. I think that really got people thinking, got Bethesda looking at, okay, we need to pay attention to Nintendo because our games are selling. Like we go back and talk about them celebrating 1 million sales of Doom on Switch. Like Bethesda was really proud of that and everything. And we haven't even talked about Obsidian because the Outer Worlds 2, I think that, I don't know if that game was planned for Switch, the second one.
I don't think so. I think most of the stuff we're seeing now is pretty Xbox exclusive, unless Xbox comes out and says otherwise. Another game I was thinking would be really cool on Switch, honestly, from Microsoft was Grounded.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think we're obviously not gonna get that. But I thought that would have been like a cool kind of multiplayer mobile type thing. That's just me.
No, I think that's a fitting game for Switch, and not cross play and cross progression saves and stuff. That would have been really good for Switch. I think people would have played it as long as Microsoft marketed that game a little bit more, because that game dropped. It came out, and I know it was kind of like in early access and stuff.
It's still in early access.
Yeah, then it kind of disappeared. Like people kind of like literally moved on. Like I don't.
Yeah, the early access thing is like really tricky though, right? Like you build a lot of hype, and you're like, oh yeah, we want the community to help us build the game, but then like, on PC and stuff, I get it, but I just don't think console gamers are ready for that kind of stuff. You know, I just don't think console gamers are ready for early access. You know,
Right.
although technically Fortnite's still in beta, so I mean,
Yeah. So, Portal, because I do
oh
my
yeah, the
own.
Portal collection.
Yeah, I don't know when they plan on releasing that, but that could be a fall game. I think people who love the Portal games
That
will
seems
give
like
this
a
one a try.
it seems like a end of summer kind of release to me.
Yeah, because it said available this year, so
Hmm.
um, maybe I know from a third party perspective that it may be probably the leading port game of for Switch. Um, because I don't know with like No Man's Sky, whenever they release that, I don't know how that's gonna do. And I think that's a game that people gonna wait for the reviews to see if they should dive in or nothing. I think the Portal Collection for Switch, I think that's a lot of guaranteed sales for a lot of people. So that may be
Yeah.
like the leading port game
Well,
for
I
it.
mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, with the success of Steam Deck right now, like
Hmm.
it's really hard to say on some of these games because like Portal is super popular, but everybody already owns it and has played it. You know what I mean? Like it just
Yes.
so that one's like really hard. Although, I mean, just to have it portably, I think a lot of people have been asking for it on Switch for years at this point. So I don't know. I'm not a big Valve guy. I'm not like, in touch with like how Valve games are or do. Like I know everybody wants Half-Life and a Portal 3 and whatever else, but like I'm not in touch with that side and I
Yeah.
just, so I don't have the information. I can't make an educated guess the way we can kind of do in Nintendo, although Nintendo just
Hmm.
goes and throws a wrench in everything. So,
Well, definitely. I think me and you, Corey, can now agree that if they gave us that Twilight Princess or that Zelda
that's
Wind Waker HD,
mhm.
if even if they combine them or put them separate or whatever, I think if that comes this year,
Mhm.
it's saving their fall.
I
It
think
really is
I think
saving their
that's
fall.
more likely, honestly, because I've been seeing a
Mm,
lot of things circulate on other websites as like which Zelda game's going to fill the gap, right? And to me, as much as I want Twilight Princess, to me, Wind Waker makes the most sense.
yes.
Just because that game is stuck on two platforms nobody purchased. It is a wonderful Zelda game. It's going to look great on an OLED, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just that's the one that makes sense to me, right? And so if you're going to put a Zelda game out, it's going to be Wind Waker. Sorry, Twilight Princess. I hate that we're going to have to wait for you, but also Wind
But
Waker makes the most sense, especially because like I think Wind Waker turns 20 years old this year or next year or something. So like they could do kind of like a pre-anniversary type celebration.
mhm. And I
I
think
actually think that was the plan, was to release
for
Breath of the Wild this year and then Wind Waker next fall for an
yeah.
anniversary. That's you know.
And I will say this because just looking at the
Oh
OLED,
no. This year is the 20th anniversary of Wind Waker.
oh then if they drop Wind Waker for Switch in September,
Hmm.
it's done. That even though it's not the game of the fall or the holiday, it's going to sell. It's going to get those pre-orders. People are going to buy that game up.
Yeah.
And I
Oh.
think if they just say that for June's Nintendo Direct, I keep saying June. If they be like, yeah, this September, the Wind Waker HD is coming to Switch.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, what would be really fun is if they showed off a new a new Breath of the Wild trailer,
mm-hmm,
and then after that, like they do that thing where they're like, "Oh, we're sorry that you have to wait till next whatever to play it, but
yes,
here's something to hold you over." And then they like do the finger snap thing, and then
yes,
you just hear the Onset Island theme music, and it pans down onto the pirate ship, right, and shows a trailer and brings Wind Waker to Switch. That'd be
Yeah,
really cool.
because looking at the OLED, just like in handheld mode with the white controllers on it, and seeing that screen of Wind Waker,
Hmm.
man, that would be just. I'm like, whoo,
Yeah.
amazing, beautiful. That color scheme, that look just says itself.
Hmm.
Um, man, I can't. I'm sorry, I feel speechless because thinking about it, that would literally will be the game of the fall. Yeah, it is a port, but people love that game, and
Hmm.
I think it
I
definitely
mean,
would just
to be
sell.
fair, I think there's been a lot of revisionist history on Wind Waker. You know,
Hmm.
like I think people didn't care for it at the time because they wanted like we've ta- I feel like we keep talking about the same things. Like they saw the Space World demo of Link fighting Ganon in a very Ocarina of Time like art style, and everybody thought that that was the game we were getting. Everybody thought we were getting Twilight Princess first, right? Like that kind of game first, and then they turn around and show us Wind Waker, and everybody hated it because
Yeah,
everybody wanted the mature Zelda game, and we didn't get it. But I think that game is great. I'm gonna admit it. I was one of those people that was like really. I didn't want to say I was hating on it, but I was really skeptical of it because I really like Majora's Mask, and I wanted more of that, and instead we got Wind Waker. And I mean, when you play it, you realize, oh, this is just a great Zelda game. It plays great. It's beautiful. The dungeons are pretty good, right? Like the only thing
yes,
that was annoying was that quest at the end, right? Like, I mean, but they fixed that in the Wii U version, and
hmm
so it kind of streamlined it, and it has a really great Ganon boss fight at the end, right? And
oh yes, I think
so
it's one of it may be my best Zelda boss for Ganon.
yeah, so I mean, Wind Waker is I mean, they put Skyward Sword on Switch. They can put Wind Waker on Switch. Come on.
Yes,
So, and I think here's the thing. I actually think the Switch is going to get a lot more ports over the next few years.
hmm
I think the Switch is going to be a 10-year console. And then whatever the next console is going to be backwards compatible with the Switch.
yes,
Because like if it's not, that's just dumb. Because they're really pushing the online stuff, Nintendo Switch Online, all that stuff. Everything's got to be backwards compatible with their next console, or Nintendo is dumb and they're done. Like they're just done. It's going to be a Wii to Wii U situation again.
yeah. I wonder though, is it backwards only for digital stuff, or they still do the cartridge? Uh,
I bet they have a cartridge slot. I think they kind of have to at this point, right? Like they kind of
mm,
have to do that, even if it's a DS Lite or a DS to Game Boy Advance style thing where there's a separate cartridge slot for Switch games. Like, I
yes,
kind of feel like they have to,
that
but
would be smart. That would
yeah.
literally be smart. Because
Uh,
I think if they're gonna do it and it runs games better, because they have better technology inside of it. Of yeah,
yeah. I mean, I still think the Switch is going to be an iterative console for a while, kind of like smartphones and iPads and stuff. We talked about it on Power Block. We talk about it all the time. I don't know how Nintendo can do another type of console. They can't go back.
yeah, they can't.
Like Nintendo's
Like
known for their handhelds. They can't go back to a console. And the only way they could go back to a home console is if they were literally competing on the same technological level as Xbox and PlayStation. And had the online functionality that those consoles have, and
I,
have the chat system and the support system, and like, and Nintendo's never going to do that. So like, they have to be different, and this is their bread and butter. This is the perfect melding of what they've been best at since the '80s with the Game Boy,
mm,
and the console experience that some of us love and some people don't care for. It's
and I think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I've played more Switch in the last probably 3 or 4 months than I have in a while because like it's just I don't. Anyways, just continue. I'm kind of running in circles and we're
No,
off
it's
topic and
no, you do make sense because, and I know yes, Eric, right, we're gonna get back into the fall discussion. It's good that you said it because I think we were talking, um, and I know everybody want to Switch Pro and everything, and I'm just like that probably won't happen anytime soon. But Nintendo has to have a powerful system to handle
Mhm.
Unreal 5 because
I don't know
a
why you
lot
keep
of people
coming back to Unreal 5. I
only
don't
re- only I think only reason why is because a lot of games are leading up to that, and I think I
I
agree with your
I
I
agree.
agree with
I
your
agree.
10 years.
And Nintendo's Switch is already running Unreal 5, Ed. Fortnite
Ha-
is on Unreal 5.
Real fine. But
And
I
it's
think
one of
when
the
it
most
comes to
popular games
I
on the
think
planet.
I think it's when it comes like bigger games, and because of the 10-year thing,
I
I
think
think
I
they
think I think we will find out if Switch can handle it when these companies
mhm,
start taking the Switch more serious, right? Like uh I think this is where the Switch Pro comes in, right?
mhm,
Where you want that next Tomb Raider game, the Switch needs more power. You want that next Witcher game, Switch needs more power. You want that next Batman game or the next, next major AAA game from company A, company B, you better have a more powerful Switch. Like
yeah,
that's the next logical step for Nintendo in terms of consoles is a Switch that is more powerful. So here's my thing. I don't need a 4K Switch. I need a Switch that can run these games at 1080p
yeah,
flawlessly for whatever, right? Like if you just put better insides in and run it at 1080p, I don't think people care if a Switch gets a 4K if you get a 4K Switch or not. I think people want these games to run at 1080p, a solid frame rate, and run bigger games that aren't
yeah.
Nintendo games. That's what people want, I think.
Well, yeah, because I was just thinking, um, because I bet you Square Enix is eyeing what Nintendo's next system is going to be. They're going to be on it, whatever ever it is, and if they could get that 1080 or 2K or whatever, if they could get that solid 30 or 60
Mm-hmm.
frames or big Unreal 5 or whatever, because the moment they announced Kingdom Hearts 4 for Switch Pro, I'm just going to title it Switch Pro. If they announce that, oh,
Mm-hmm.
everybody is jumping on
Yeah,
that.
but the thing is they didn't even get the first 3 games to run on the Switch, and
I know
those are PS2 games. I
I
mean,
can I completely understand, but knowing that, I'm just saying that if Square Enix, like, if they're gonna put that next Tomb Raider on Switch,
mhm.
and they need that, that's gonna if they put that next Tomb Raider on Switch without even putting the trilogy on Switch, that's speaking that Square is really interested into what Nintendo was doing, and
Wow.
if Nintendo got the power to do it, yeah,
I mean,
they're
I
gonna do
think
Kingdom Hearts
I
4.
think Square's Western division is going to Microsoft in the next 2 years, in my
Oh,
opinion. But I think I don't know. I think that Nintendo has a lot of they have a lot going for it in terms of their first party and indies and smaller titles and ports.
yes,
They have a lot. Again, we kind of knew they were going to run into this problem eventually. I feel like it was prolonged because the Switch is so popular.
mm-hmm,
They're running into the third party problem again. And it's time to start thinking about it because you can output first party games all you want. You can put out the best indies all you want. I still think third party games are essential to an ecosystem. And
yeah,
obviously Capcom's going to keep putting Monster Hunter on, right? And we'll probably get some sort of weird Konami Collection obviously aspires putting Star Wars on there, but like, where is Assassin's Creed? Where is Batman? Where is like that's what I'm talking about, is like Harry Potter or Hogwarts Legacy has a huge advantage for Switch players this year because it's the only third. Like I know a couple people that the Switch is the only console that they own, and like they kind of want to check out these other games, but they're not coming. That's where I think that's like the secret bullet for Hogwarts Legacy is like it's coming to Switch when Gotham Knights, who's being published by the same company, is not. You know, and that I think that's big. I think that's a win for Nintendo personally. You know, Harry Potter, like regardless of what you think of J.K. Rowling or if the game is good or not, like it doesn't matter. Harry Potter is going to sell 10 million units because it's Harry Potter, right? It's got the Wizarding World. People still love that universe. I love that universe, but there's got to be more. There's got to be more. Where is the more? And that's what I'm interested to see when Nintendo, like whether they have a major first party game or port to put in October or not. I'm interested to see what third party games they have at their event. Will they show off the Switch version of Harry Potter? Will they announce that Gotham Knights might be coming? Will they announce something else from a third party? I can't think of any third party games that are coming out this fall. Like, or will they announce Saints? Will they announce that Saints Row will be ported at some point?
Yeah, because it's as we try to predict the fall and I agree with you for a lot of the first party wise, we're just trying to fit in what we know where games would be released. Yeah. Now, when you add and indies could drop anytime, they could do an indie direct and they could drop Silk Song right now if they want to, and folks would lose their mind.
Yeah,
Go
ahead. I'm trying to find like third party stuff that's like major. That would be huge if Nintendo would be able to get these games on the console, right? Saints Row is one. I actually think the next... Test Drive Unlimited is coming to Switch.
Okay.
So we're going to get a driving game. That's good, right? Test Drive is huge. It's like a poor man's Forza Horizon. So I'm kind of shocked and excited for that. Let's see here. I think... let's see. I'm still trying to find stuff. I'm sorry.
Trying to get the third party locked down on Switch. I think for a lot of us, it's more of a surprise to be like, oh, you guys are bringing that? Okay, I'll put my interest in that. Okay, oh, you guys are doing this? Okay, I'll put my interest in that. If EA, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just trying to think of like major third-party games that have already been announced for Switch. Like, we know Harry Potter, like Hogwarts Legacy is coming, but Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 have also been announced for Switch. Remember?
Yeah.
And I know Overwatch 2 is kind of going through like a development crisis right now. Not really a crisis, but they're kind of overhauling how they're going to market and kind of release the game. And so that I know it's coming to Switch, but how it comes to Switch is going to be something different. It's going to be I don't know what I'm trying to say here. You know what I'm trying to say. But those are three huge third party games. Sonic Frontiers is actually another huge third party game. In the Switch version, it's actually the lead version on that game. So. Sega and Nintendo have kind of, with Sonic, kind of really tried to do something there, right? Sonic Frontiers is supposed to be like the revolution of game that Sonic needs, I guess, So, I don't know. I'm just kind of going through this list. There's nothing really yet. I think that after this fall, or after this summer, we'll know a lot more, but... So, that's just me, though.
So, Corey, even though by the time this come out, everybody would know that this is breaking news. Sonic Spinball, Shining Force 2, and Space Harrier 2 is now available for the Sega Genesis.
Way to just change the topic, Ed.
I
Nobody
just
cares
said,
about. Nobody cares. Sonic Spinball. Okay. Other games. Boo.
well,
Next.
Daniel's gonna care about it because he loves Shining Force 2.
No, I'm kind of excited for that Sonic Origins collection, but it's $40.
Yeah. So what? I think I've been trying to understand why everybody's been making fun of that. I guess DLC expansions or whatever.
Oh no, there's like they're putting challenge levels in all the games, like new levels for those old games, which is cool. I don't know why people are making fun of it, but probably because
I
people just
guess
make fun of Sonic. But
I think people were just like literally confused at um them doing I think the way that they were just trying to, I don't know. It was confusing because they put out that chart thing and it was just like, what the world is this?
yeah, I don't know. Uh,
That,
so
again, I think that's. Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just like I'm just trying to think of like what's coming this fall, right? We know the big games are. Splatoon 3 I think could handle a September or October spot. I would be hesitant to put it in October, but I think it could handle an October spot.
Hmm.
Bayonetta is the big question. I still think that that's their December game.
Yes.
I think that we kind of talked about it earlier on the phone, but I think Bayonetta is a hardcore gamers game. It's not a game you're going to be going to stand in line for Walmart for a Black Friday deal. I don't
Hmm.
think. Uh, I think whoever's going to buy it is going to buy it,
Yes.
and it doesn't matter when Nintendo releases it, right? So I think that that game has December on lock, unless it gets delayed, which is very possible. Uh, for me, Splatoon is September. Mario Rabbids is August. Pokemon, the two Pokemon games are obviously locked for November.
Yeah.
What else are we missing? We're
I
missing.
think you said Mario, if they announced it and they released it this year, was September, I believe.
I'm trying to go off the games that we know before we get into
Oh,
games that we
okay.
don't know. Mario Rabbids, I think, is August. Um, I think they're going to make a big deal out of that game.
Oh, I think you said, did you say Splatoon was for September?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I said it has the. I think it could hold an October spot if they're like quote unquote in a crunch to put
Yeah.
something there. But I think that that's their September game. I really do. Now again, we know Nintendo's not afraid to put two games out in the same month,
Exactly.
but you know, I don't think you want to put too heavy. Like for example, the October that Fire Emblem Warriors and Mario Odyssey came out in the same month, right? Like
Hmm.
Fire Emblem Warriors is like a I would say the Fire Emblem Warriors is like a B tier game for them. And
Yeah.
Mario was the big game that month, right? You're not going to put
Yes.
Splatoon 3 with a Zelda, right? You're not going to put them in the same month. So I
No.
just it doesn't make sense to me. I think you
I'm sure
put I think you put Splatoon and Advance Wars together.
that would be good. Now, I will say this. Nintendo has to avoid Nintendo and third party indies. You guys have to avoid September 2019 style of releasing games. That was a bunkers month.
Yeah, but
Damn Ex
Nintendo only
Machina.
released two games that month.
I know that, but I'm like, dude,
I know
Dragon
that
Quest,
there's like
Dragon,
10 games that month that was like, oh my god, dude,
dude, like
stop.
Dragon Quest 11, Damn Ex Machina, Link's Awakening,
The Witcher.
The Witcher.
Hold on, what was it? September 2019.
Yeah, cause we was just, I think we was watching. It was that E3 that we was watching, and then I think there was an indie direct. We had just got Astral Chain from from we just no, we just got Fire Emblem Three Houses in July. We got Astral Chain in August, and then a cavalcade of games hitting us in September. And we were just like, this is almost $600 worth of games here.
Yeah. So even the indies, right? Like River City Girls was
Yeah.
released. Sorry, I'm kind of
Ooh,
going
that's
through this
another
list.
one. River City Girls 2.
Yeah, it's coming sometime this year. NBA 2K was released on Switch in September. Daemon X Machina, Lego Jurassic World, which whatever. Ni no Kuni was released in September. Link's Awakening, The Witcher, Ori and the Blind Forest, Dragon Quest XI. Like that's your September 2019. That month was stupid. That's like a good year for a console.
Yeah, because it hits so many areas of gamers.
Yeah.
It's just like all of this was happening on one console, on top of getting stuff for PlayStation and Microsoft, and it's just like this is insane. Like it felt like it felt like Christmas shopping way early in advance, because you can't say, well, I don't know what to get. I'm like, you have about 16,000 games in September that's dropping to choose from.
Yeah. So I think they need to avoid that, but that's like what's the game? What am I missing? What's the game I'm missing? Mario Rabbids, Advance Wars, Splatoon, Bayonetta 3, 2 Pokemon games, and what's the other one?
Well, you said a Mario. You think a Mario game was coming?
I'm talking about the games that have been announced already.
That's everything, because Mario Strikers come out in June.
Yeah,
and Three Hopes come in June also.
Yeah.
So with Xenoblade, with Xenoblade getting moved to July, that would have been part of it.
Yeah. I mean, so they could potentially position Sonic Frontiers as a Switch game first, right? And kind of position that as a October game. I think Sonic Frontiers is coming out in October, regardless.
I can see that.
Just because I think Sega thinks Sonic is huge, and obviously with the movies and the success of the movies and the new kind of run of comics and stuff, like Sonic is huge, right? Sonic is huge. I think that Sega thinks Sonic is big enough to be in the mesh of like a Call of Duty and whatever else is coming there, right? I mean, it's a different audience, but like you're still competing. And I could see that. I could see Nintendo kind of working with them to position that.
I feel like they got them on lock for a Nintendo Direct.
Oh,
marketing presentation.
Yeah.
And I agree. If they did Sonic Frontier for October, I think that fixes almost what's coming for the fall. Because I do agree that it is a big IP, and I think I would go up and play it. Buy it and give it a try.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I'm like,
I mean, they really don't need anything else this year, to be honest with you. Like, I know that they will probably announce something at E3 or whatever their June Direct is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it's going to be something big that's coming out this fall, but what is that game? I want to like get that kind of squared away. I think it's either going to be a Wind Waker port, or I still think that there's a possibility it could be a Mario game. Mm-hmm. I know that's way out of left field. I know there's no rumors or no talk about it whatsoever. I just have this really weird gut feeling that they're going to put Mario out this year against God of War and Starfield. That's
what are they?
And I know I know that Pokemon is kind of that game that can take those both on at the same time, right? But like, I think Nintendo's going to want to have as many bullets in their gun as possible this fall whether they admit it or not, they're still competing with these consoles. Whether we want to admit it or not, there's still competition out there for time playing games, right? And so I think a new Mario game with a Pokemon game, and then you have like your kind of, all, if you're going to buy 3 games this fall, it's going to be Mario, Pokemon, and like, I don't know, Splatoon, and those are your 3 Christmas games or whatever, right?
What if they drop Captain Toad Treasure Tractor for October? Two. It's an actual sequel. I'm just saying, if they did, like,
I mean, that'd be cool, but that's not a big enough game to drop in a fall kind of holiday rush situation. That's like a summer game.
Well, yeah, but
Captain Toad came out on Switch in July. Like that's a dead zone for all intents and purposes, right?
Yeah, because I'm just like, we don't have like a Luigi's Mansion 4. We don't have a Pikmin 4. Like we
should.
Goodness, if they announce Pikmin 4 for October, I'm like,
I mean, that's a possibility too. I mean, that they could they have so many things in development and secretive and like. We could be talking all this, and they could be like, "Hey, we're just gonna throw Star Fox out there because we're Nintendo, and you'll buy it." I mean, we could sit here and analyze and guess and whatever. Nintendo is gonna reveal something in June, and this episode's gonna look real stupid. Is all I'm saying.
Well, no, it's not gonna look it's not gonna look stupid.
No,
it's just gonna be like, dude, it's going to be a placeholder because the moment they dropped it, Corey, I need you to hurry up and get out. I'm like, I need you to make sure that you are off that day. Whatever they take, just stay home. I'm like, I am going to be online because once we see that direct, once they announce the rest of their fall plans and we get concrete details, we are going to talk. We have to podcast. Like, this is because I think we're gonna be taken aback to be like, okay, so we know what's happening after Xenoblade. Discuss, like, let's go in because we'll definitely got to have something concrete. I would say this: if they announce their Pirate Fire Emblem, that's it. Like, I think people will be set. If they announce the next Mario game, that's it. We're set. They announced Wind Waker HD. That's it. If they announce any of those 3 games to actually release this year, we're good. Like, there's no other conversation to have. Now, the other conversation would be like, okay, we see some trailers for this game and that game, but that would literally be it. And who knows? Maybe they do something Kid Icarus. Like, they literally have the possibility to drop anything now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be. I'm really liking this. What do you call it? This Wind Waker idea.
Because if they drop it in September, I'm here for it. Like, I'm pre-ordering it. Because you could re-release amiibos, you could put out a guidebook or whatever. Like, even if it's just like a 60, it's going to be $60. But even if they go in and also add stuff and improve it a little bit more, then yes, I'm like, why? Like, literally, why not? Like, what if they? Okay, this is the yes, we got the Wii U version of the HD, but now if you want to switch to the GameCube version, you could also do that. Like, the filter, you can switch to like that. I want to say it'll feel like 2 games in one, but it's not. It's just a look. I think people are going to experience that game in the way that it was originally intended for the GameCube version, and then they'll probably do a replay and play it in the new version. So they have the opportunity to do that. They even have the opportunity to do that with Twilight Princess also. Switch it to GameCube or Wii, and then play that Wii U HD version or something.
Yeah. I forgot. I forgot that. Remember the rumor that the Mario Odyssey team is working on a 3D Donkey Kong game.
Ooh. Yeah.
That rumor started in like last summer, but I was looking up games confirmed for Switch or rumored for Switch, and I just pulled up this Game Rant article. Shout out to Grayson, by the way.
Yeah.
Friend of show. But yeah, I was just looking, and I forgot that was rumored.
It really has been a while that we had a Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's time, right? I mean, we had that tropical freeze kind of whatever, but I think it's probably time for that, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's
that would be a good October game. Would be a 3D Donkey Kong platformer. That would be a game you would put out in October.
yeah.
I still think Donkey Kong is big enough to be a tentpole game.
Yeah.
Let's just make
I think with the success of Mario Odyssey and the way that Kirby and the Forgotten Land has been, like people have that 3D style it's been reminding people of Odyssey with that. I think they could do a really tight Donkey Kong game with that. Like kind of give it that rare flair, but like it really feels like a Mario game because the ideas and the execution really speaks Mario. But it's just like this feels trickery, like a rare game.
I mean, you could get really weird with Donkey Kong, right? So, yeah.
I mean, got a big cast of characters, so
Yeah. Yeah. So just to kind of wrap this conversation up, what's the one game you would want to see this fall that that we kind of talked about tonight, whether it's a Wind Waker port or a Donkey Kong game or something? Like what do you want to see in that October slot?
oh man. I do
All of
I
it.
yeah. I still feel like I want to see Bayonetta 3 in October. I'm fine. I know it's a struggle. I know it's a fight, but I think that game and that theme just fits October because
I mean,
I
she's
just
a witch. I
don't.
guess it makes sense for Halloween.
Yeah, and I just don't know. I think without seeing what Microsoft and Sony is going to be planning to do, and I keep coming back to them because they have the potentially to make this holiday even more crazier.
I mean, we know what they're doing though. It's Starfield, it's Redfall, and it's God of War. Those are the games. Yeah. I mean, Microsoft owns 30 teams or whatever, but they haven't been making some of their games are in development crisis anyway, but
yeah,
they haven't been making these games for that long, right? And so Redfall is obviously the first one out the door, and Starfield, those are the games. We're not going to start seeing Microsoft's output till next year. And
yes.
Sony, God of War's their game. They've played their hand. And
I think October for Bayonetta, I think that's a good game for Nintendo to market for Platinum, and really just literally have that game be the focus because people are going to be like, okay, I got it, I played it, I mastered everything, I'm going back doing all the combos, I'm learning here and there. Now I'm ready for Pokemon.
There's something about Bayonetta that I'm excited for, but also this direction they're going with the kaiju monsters or whatever, it kind of worries me a little bit that people aren't going to be into it, and I'm a little concerned about Bayonetta also with the way that Platinum's been they've been putting them out lately.
You already know that's the expansion pass that we're having.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah,
I'm really wondering if Nintendo or Microsoft are going to try to scoop them up. I really do. I really wonder. Because like I think Nintendo. I mean, we've had that conversation before, and I don't want to go into it again. Now we can do this on a platinum episode. Maybe we'll do that whenever we record another episode of this. But like, Nintendo seems to know how to get the most out of platinum, right? With Bayonetta, with Astral Chain. What was the other game? Wonderful 101, right?
Yes.
Like, Nintendo knows how to get the best out of platinum. It seems like. I mean, they had a hit with Square with Nier Automata, and they had from everything that I'm hearing, a big bust with Babylon's Fall.
Yes.
You know,
And I think that last game really hurt them. That's why this is going to be an expansion pass that we're going to have to really talk, because now it's really now that we know that Nintendo is in the fray with Microsoft, you know.
Well, we don't know if Nintendo wants to buy Platinum.
See, I think
Nintendo's they're very willing to work with other companies without purchasing them. They work with Bandai Namco a lot. They work with Tecmo Koei a lot. They work with Platinum a lot on second-party contracts.
Yes. I have a feeling that Nintendo will fight Microsoft on this one.
I don't think so. I think unless they want to put Astral Chain 2 out, which, by the way, Nintendo owns that IP, not Platinum.
Yes.
So they could get someone else to do the second game. But unless they really feel strongly about putting Platinum on an Astral Chain 2, which I've actually been going back and forth on playing that through that game.
If you go back to Astral Chain, I'm joining you. Because I think...
I liked what I played, and then I got distracted. It's like I play 2 and 3 hours of these games, and I get distracted. But
I think literally that is this has got to be an expansion pack by itself.
Yeah, I just just to wrap up this part of that conversation, unless Nintendo is dead set on putting out an Astral Chain 2, which they said that they intended it to be a trilogy. Platinum did, not Nintendo. Platinum intended it to be a trilogy. I don't think Nintendo wants to buy Platinum. I think that
I can see that. I can agree with that. I think there's just the fight for it would be strong. Here's
where I'm at with that though. Is like, I think because we've already said that Nintendo gets the best out of Platinum, right?
Yes.
I think that Platinum adds a lot to what Nintendo doesn't have already.
Yeah,
stylus action,
agree.
Interesting, kind of that mature game that Nintendo doesn't have. And when you get the best out of Platinum, it's very good. When you get bad out of Platinum, it's very bad. And I wonder if Nintendo wants to weigh the risks of the good versus the bad, and if they want to clean house, or you know what I mean? Like, that's and I don't know if Nintendo's. I don't think they think that's worth it because of their first party output is stellar. Their console's selling well. Now, if this was the Wii U generation and Bayonetta was like their only 9+ game, then I think Nintendo would probably try to buy Platinum, but Nintendo's first party output's great. They're putting a new first party game out every 4 to 8 weeks. They are killing it with Switch sales, which probably by the time this comes out, it'll have sold 115 million units, right? Like I don't know if they're going to, the only thing too, though, if they were looking to buy studios, money is really cheap right now, like to spend. That's why everybody's buying up companies, is because like, you can take out a loan or spend your money, and it's cheaper than if you were to buy it when the market wasn't bad.
And we know that Nintendo has acquired more land to build another office. Nintendo
that's the other thing too, is like they're going to increase their first party output. So why?
So I mean, I do agree. I can't say that Nintendo wouldn't buy Platinum. I think Nintendo would definitely love to continue to work with Platinum, because
that's where I'm at as well.
Because not that I could get Sega. Sega's not really doing enough for Platinum. I think they're doing.
Here's the thing. Sega's business strategy has been all over the place. Whether it's good or bad, it seems to be working out for them, right? Where like, but Sega with Atlas specifically is like,
that's what I was about to say. Yeah,
it's like, what's your plan here? Like, is Sony paying for the exclusivity of Persona? Is Nintendo paying for that exclusivity of Shin Megami Tensei? Like, they're technically the same series, but why is one stuck on one platform and one stuck on the other, right? Like, there's got to be some give soon, right? And the rumor that Persona 4 Golden is and the dancing and fighting games are coming to Switch are like, you know, that's probably happening, but like, I don't. We'll talk about it later. There's so many things we could have expansion passes on. I want to do a Platinum Games episode, Ed, and I want to do
I do too.
I want to do a Sega / Atlas episode.
Yeah,
because I think those are the two most interesting companies right now.
And I think it's just like seeing what's been happening to each of them from our. I think it changes our previous discussions about it, because it's just like, oh, one is not a good look, one is a great look, and we literally just do not know what can happen in the future for those companies.
Yeah,
you know, and I definitely with the Platinum Games one, that Babylon's Fall hurt it so much, and that literally got me thinking about with the Microsoft purchasing them, and that, like I said, that's the expansion pass on the sale. Yeah. But I'm like, I'm like, dang, I'm leaning more toward what you're saying, that it's a possibility, and I just, I think about it,
my thought on Platinum real quick is like, I think Platinum wants to be purchased more than people want to purchase them at this point. That's where I'm at. And it's been very obvious that they want to be purchased, right? With Hideki Kamiya out there tweeting, like, you know, kind of not begging, but like saying that they want to work with Microsoft again and maybe revive Scalebound. And then, you know, their current president out there saying that maybe they are very open to an acquisition. And then Kamiya coming back out and saying that, you know, them, because like the Japanese honor system is like, it's a very old school way of thinking. Like Kamiya said this, it's a very old school way of thinking of Japanese companies can only be purchased by other Japanese companies, and they're willing to be purchased by a Western company, and, you know, that kind of thing. So they're very open about being acquired. And I think they're looking at Microsoft because of Game Pass, and like, they don't have to worry about budgets and, you know, if their game has to make X amount of dollars and, you know, to fund their next game and turnover, you know what I mean? Like, they're not worried about that because they'll have Microsoft's Game Pass money, and Microsoft's kind of just distributing of their money is very different from other companies, because like when you look at Game Pass, obviously all that money goes to Microsoft, and then they distribute the budget where it needs to go on certain games, right? So
yes,
and then obviously it's just Microsoft also, so they can borrow money from other aspects of their company. To like Halo, for example, probably costs more to make than it made, right? But it's Halo, so you got to do it,
right? Well, what game were you thinking of, Corey, for the fall?
Honestly, I think with the amount of new stuff that's coming out, my money would actually be on the Wind Waker port.
Okay.
I think they're going to pair whatever this 3D Donkey Kong game is that is rumored. They'll probably pair it with Breath of the Wild next year.
Yeah.
I think a port of Wind Waker is the safest bet. I think next year they're gonna, that Fire Emblem game that's rumored. Dude, I mean, if we're already thinking about rumored games for next year, Fire Emblem, Zelda, Donkey Kong, Metroid Prime 4, right?
Yeah.
That's the rumor for next year. That's already a beefy 2023, you know.
Yeah.
And this year's this year we have Xenoblade, Splatoon 3, Bayonetta, a huge Pokemon game, which is hopefully the game everybody wanted Pokemon to be, right? Like I am actually quite intrigued by Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. So plus you have a good mix of third party games with Sonic Frontiers and Hogwarts Legacy and a bunch of cool indies coming out. Like Nintendo has a stacked lineup this fall. I don't think they need another quote unquote new game. I think a port will service them just fine. It's just where are you putting these games? How are you pairing them up? And how are you going to compete with other games this fall? That's the only question. I think a port of Wind Waker could battle stuff out with Pokemon just fine as a 1-2 punch. And then Splatoon coming up and Bayonetta kind of rounding out the year. I think that's kind of how I see it.
Well, I got one last question, and then we're gonna literally wrap up. Do you think Nintendo gets the exclusive right? Well, just the exclusive. I won't say exclusive right. The exclusive to show Dragon Quest 12.
No, because it's already been announced for PlayStation 5. So no.
Well, yeah, but I think more for the first look.
Oh,
like showing the trailer.
No,
or do you think that's state of play?
I think that's getting a state of play. I think Sony is really trying hard to show people that Square Enix is a Sony partner. Mm-hmm. And Dragon Quest is their biggest IP. Regardless, obviously Westerners think Final Fantasy is, but Dragon Quest is their biggest IP by far.
Yeah.
And I think even though I think Dragon Quest 12 will come to Switch at some point,
yes.
I think it's going to be similar to what happened with Dragon Quest 11, where PlayStation got that year exclusive, and then when it comes to Switch, the Switch version gets the kind of like the extra stuff,
Well, it was, I think, because it's very hard. Because the Japanese release was very different than what the American exclusive was.
I get that. I'm talking about like if that happens here.
If that happens here,
yeah.
And I think and the reason why I presented it in that way was that I think people were excited when Dragon Quest 11 was getting announced for the American Switch and it came out and everything. So you would think that Nintendo's good relationship with Square Enix.
And I think Dragon Quest has been associated with Nintendo for a long time.
Because it was that period that when they had the games on 3DS that Nintendo was publishing them.
Yeah. I mean, Nintendo was publishing them here.
Yeah.
That was the thing. And so... yes. Will it come to Switch? Yes. Will it come to Switch first? No. I think that the way they've kind of pitched that game and talked about it, I think that game is going to be a showpiece for PlayStation 5.
PlayStation. Yeah.
And I think it'll come to Switch eventually. It's just going to take some work and some time.
Yeah. I think just showing it off, like just having that right to show off the gameplay and how it looks, of Nintendo would get it. And I because that game will be imported to Nintendo Switch players. Because I think is it also coming for Xbox? I think.
I'm not sure. I don't know anymore. I don't know how Square is working with Xbox these days. They we're going to put all of our old games on Game Pass, but none of our new games are coming. And but you're going to get Octopath before PlayStation. It's like, what are you doing? It's just Square. Square seems very confused unless Sony's paying them. That's my thing. Okay, Nintendo's paying you for these games. Great. That's sealed. Oh, Sony's paying you for these games? Cool. What about all these other games? I don't know. We'll throw them wherever. They're like the titles are like on darts, and they're throwing them at this board with Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, or wherever it lands. That's where it's going.
Right. Because, and I think with Square Enix, and yes, we're going to get to the end there, right? I'm sorry for all this additional talk, but Square Enix, because they may have a presentation also this summer. Mm-hmm. Forspoken, Final Fantasy 16, Dragon Quest 12, The
next part of Final Fantasy VII, supposedly Kingdom Hearts 4. They have a lot in the tank, right? Like Square has a lot of powerful RPGs coming. I actually think Square is trending up. Like they even have a new Valkyrie game coming out, Valkyrie Elysium.
Yeah, Elysium. With that the Underfield or something like that. That one game that looks like Fire Emblem.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about like huge, big budget AAA.
Yeah.
Games, and like I actually think Square is trending up in that way, right? Like they're getting back to what made Square popular in the 90s and 2000s, right? It's like these big sprawling RPGs that people are excited for, and I think they're going to want to show that off. They have a great lineup of games, you know.
Dude, they got, if you look at it, they've got 10 plus games in production. Ready to come out.
Yeah, I mean, you even look at the stuff that's been announced for Switch from Square right now, right? Is like, okay, we're getting Live Alive, we're getting that Fire Emblem, not Final Fantasy Tactics game. I forget what it's called.
The something Chronicles or something like that for that. But we also get a front mission, dude.
Yeah, well, think about like we're getting the front mission 1 and 2. We're getting that Dragon Quest 3 remake, right? That they announced. Remember when they announced that?
Yes.
There's been that. I would be shocked if they did not announce the Pixel Collection, Final Fantasy Pixel Collection.
They will be insane if we do not get that this year.
You know, they what was the other game that was announced? I forget. There was something else.
I know Forspoken is in October.
Yeah, but that's not coming to Switch. I'm talking about Switch stuff.
Oh, I thought you were talking about in general altogether.
So I mean, like, there's stuff coming, right? I think Square's trending up. I think I really want them to sell their Western division to Microsoft and then just go back. You know, if they want to stay PlayStation exclusive, Switch exclusive for some things, they don't even have to worry about Microsoft. Microsoft got what they wanted, right? So that's
right.
I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say about that. But.
I will say this, and then we'll go. I think the one game that I am looking for Square Enix on, definitely for PlayStation 5, but probably Series X, I'm looking forward to that new Tomb Raider. Mm-hmm. I think that has become my number one game, and I think
that game's so early in development, though. Like,
I know, but I'm just like, I want to see Crystal Dynamics mess around Unreal Engine 5 on that, and I'm like, ooh, where do you guys take this?
I wonder, because Crystal Dynamics has 2 teams at their main studio.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Avengers is just going to quietly die on the vine. Like, they'll get their content out.
Yeah.
And then it'll just kind of die on the vine, and then that team will take over Tomb Raider. Because the other team is working on Perfect Dark with Microsoft.
Oh, yeah, that is right. But everybody, that's going to be our show. Corey, where can we find you?
You can find me at I am Corey HD on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me on the Boss Rush podcast on Nintendo Power Block and Standard Definition.
Yes. You can find me on Twitter at ThatRetroCode and on Instagram at ThatRetroCode. You can check more of Expression Pass here on Boss Rush Network if you are a Patreon producer or supporter in general. You guys get the show a week early. Also check us out on Nintendo Power Block.
Doing it for Galastrad.
Nintendo Power Block Live on Monday. And if you miss it on Monday, no worries. You guys can catch it on Wednesday on our YouTube channel on bossrush.net, and also be able to check it on Anchor FM and other podcast apps that you support, I should say. With that, everybody, we will see you next time for Nintendo Expression Pass. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.